My biological, 12-year-old daughter Susan likes to collect and read old children's books. She's become an incredible reader. She had problems with reading and learning before, and we were advised to encourage her to read, and ever since she started reading, which she does regularly, her skills improved. She also reads to her 2-year-old sister every night. I have a 16-year-old stepson Levi who can be a hothead sometimes. We don't have a son-dad relationship, but I respect him and he respects me, though he can act quite mean and selfish towards me and his sisters. He throw away stuff that belongs to us over small arguments and teases Susan for spending a lot of time to read, calling her grandma. My wife and I discussed his behavior and had conversations and agreed on punishments, but Levi'd go to his dad's place whenever he causes troubles, then have his dad yell at me for wanting to discuss a suitable punishment. Then Levi comes home days later expecting me to let go of what he did every time. It's frustrating. I got a call at work from Susan saying Levi took her entire book collection and threw them in the pool after she refused to lend him and his friends her camera for his trip. My wife helped get them out, but they were wet and some were torn. It was horrific because some of those books are hard to get and meant a lot to Susan as a part of her life. I was so mad at Levi I came home to have a conversation with my wife to decide on a punishment, but he already packed a small bag and gone to his dad's. I asked my wife how could she let him basically run after doing this, and she said he called his dad and he came to pick him up after Susan said that I was coming home to deal with the problem. I went to his dad's house and he refused to let me see him. I told him how Levi was hiding from consequences, and his dad tried to justify why Levi was acting out by blaming me for how me and Susan treated him. He even said he'd get Child Protective Services involved if I ever try to punish him because I'm not his dad. I have no right. Adding what Levi did was a reaction to my daughter being mean to him. He told me to leave because Levi wouldn't come home till I promised not to do anything about what he did and put it in writing. I told him Levi should stay there with him then. He's not to come back till he gets proper punishment. His dad argued it's his mom's house too and called my wife and she asked to let this go and we'll figure out some way to resolve it, but I don't think it's fair for Susan to have her books ruined and Levi getting away with it. They're asking me to let it go, but this will only encourage Levi to do worse if I don't deal with it now. It's been 2 weeks and my in-laws say I was out of line for banning Levi from coming home and are telling me to step back, but I refused. Not the idiot. You're the only reasonable person in the situation. Levi should be punished for destroying someone else's property, but with his dad constantly making excuses for him, he knows he can get away with literally anything. This isn't going to turn out well when Levi turns 18 and is held accountable for his actions. Daddy can't tell the cops that it's someone else's fault that his precious son did something bad. It doesn't work that way. He's going to wind up in jail. Not the idiot. File a police report. There needs to be a trial to prove Levi is destructive and actively hurts your daughter. When push comes to shove, mom and dad will lie for Levi and leave you the bad guy and your daughter defenseless. I'd start thinking about separation because your wife will allow terrible things to happen to your daughter, who is much younger than Levi. He's almost an adult. Soon he'll be an adult bullying a child, and that will not fly when your daughter is at school, in distress. Not the idiot. You're protecting your daughter from being forced to live with her bully. That's what Levi is doing to her, bullying her. Use those words with your wife and her ex, and Levi too. Why should Susan be the one who has to pay the price of her stepmom's and stepmom's ex's inability to parent their son? You're apparently only allowed to parent one child. So that's what you're doing by supporting your daughter's needs and boundaries when she doesn't have the power to do it herself. So I was talking on Zoom to my mom and sister Jen, fake name. At one point, my boyfriend came in and handed me some tea as I had killer menstrual cramps, and tea helps. When Jen saw this, she said my boyfriend's actions were offensive to women and treating me like a fragile princess was enabling me. She said her husband doesn't help her whether she's well or sick, and that's how a partnership between equals works. This made me mad. My boyfriend is a sweetheart and he understands that this time can be painful for me, so he helps out in whatever way he can. I told Jen that when I'm well, I take care of him as well, pack his lunch, his office has reopened, but my college classes are still online, make him breakfast, etc. She got even more angry and congratulated me for becoming a 1950s housewife. This was crazy. I love taking care of my boyfriend, but that doesn't mean I'm giving up on my career. It's just that I'm a morning person, so I handle morning chores, he does nighttime chores. Jen went on about how offended she was until I left the call. Later, Mom, unbeknownst to me, texted boyfriend and asked him to stop helping me out whenever I was Zoom because it upsets Jen. He didn't take her seriously, at which point she said he, an outsider, was disrupting internal family matters. This is the man who has made it abundantly clear that the minute our financials are in order, he's asking me to marry him. He lost it and said he'll take care of whoever he pleases in his own house. So, this is where it might have gone into idiot territory. As my mom persisted, boyfriend said he had to look out for me since no one in my family would. This is not very far from the truth. Mom thinks older children always get the short end of the stick and has overcompensated by going the other way. For example, I wasn't allowed to cry as a kid because younger children get it easier, so my problems were nothing in comparison to Jen's. I had to share my birthdays and milestone events with her so that she didn't feel bad. This used to hurt, but I've made my peace with it. Now my extended family is blowing up my phone, saying we were rude and hurt Mom's feelings. I got a text from my mom saying she did her best to be a good parent, but she was only human. This made me feel terrible, to be honest. But then she added that she expected boyfriend to apologize to her and Jen on Zoom in front of the entire extended family. I lost it. I'm not going to make him apologize for taking care of me just because they feel offended by it. So, am I the idiot for not making my boyfriend apologize to my mom and sis? You are not the idiot, and your boyfriend should most definitely not the idiot apologize to your family. If anyone in this situation should apologize, it's your sister for her crazy rant and your mom for going behind your back to tell your boyfriend he shouldn't do nice things for you. You and your partner are in a loving relationship in which you take care of each other. If they find that weird, they need to take a long hard look at their own relationship. Not the idiot. You would be an idiot if you tried to make this your boyfriend's problem. This is a family problem. The dynamic around Jen as the golden child has been well established. They emotionally abused you as a child, and they are continuing to do so now. Your mom's guilt-tripping and employing extended family to pressure you further is not healthy or normal behavior. For her part, it sounds like Jen is miserable in a loveless relationship and wanted to take that out on you and your boyfriend. Not your circus nor your monkeys. Not the idiot. The envy is strong with this one. My partner and I help each other because that's how an equal partnership works. Next time you're on a Zoom call, have him silently come in and set a big breakfast in front of you. Then he comes back and refills your drink. Then brings you your robe and kisses you on the head. The whole time just keeps talking like it's a normal day. Hell. Have him in the background folding towels while you're at it. I'm currently pregnant with my second and final child. With my first, I had an epidural and a pretty routine delivery. With this child, I'd like to have a completely unmedicated all-natural birth. Since this is my last child, I'd like to be fully aware of what's going on and fully experience it all, the pain, delayed cord clamping, everything, since it'll never happen again. Without getting too detailed, my husband and I will most likely be separating in the near future, before our baby is born. His family has made some choices recently regarding our first child that I simply can't and won't abide by, and have made it clear to my husband they will no longer be involved in my or our children's lives. His family thinks they've done no wrong and want him to leave me. This puts him in the awkward place of having to choose between the family he was born into and the one he's created. It's starting to become apparent he'll choose them, and I can't hold it against him as I know how close they are. On to the meat of the issue. I've made it abundantly clear that if we're not together at the time of me going into labor, I don't want him in the delivery suite until our son is born and the doctors have done what they needed to do and I'm decent again. Like I said, I plan on doing delayed cord clamping, and so he'd still be able to cut the cord and spend the entire hospital stay if he'd like to, but I don't want him in the room as our son enters the world. He's enraged, telling me he's not missing his first and only son's birth. He's going to be in the room with me whether we're together or not, and I'm only doing this to force him to be with me or hurt him for choosing to leave. I understand why he'd feel that way, but it's not about hurting him though. Like I said, I plan to have an all-natural experience. If we're not together, he's just going to be standing there, spectating. He wouldn't be helping me through the process, comforting me, supporting me, etc., which is fine, because he's there for his son, not me. But I don't really want him just standing there watching me sob in pain, vomit, and crap as I struggle to give birth. It would make me super uncomfortable to have someone, who's not on my team so to speak, just standing around, watching that. I've talked to my friends about it, and they're pretty divided, so judge me. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. I was not with my now ex-husband when I had our 5th child. We separated when I was 7 months pregnant because of his rampant cheating, and I didn't allow him at the hospital at all. Childbirth is stressful in the best of situations. I was absolutely not going to have him in my room or anywhere near me when I was going through that. Now, 6 years later, she's one of the only kids that will visit him, and we are currently sitting here waiting for him to show up. Not the idiot. You are going to be trying to push a baby out of you that is stressful enough without having an ex there in the room offering zero support. Does he have any arguments as to how his presence would make it easier for you? Or is it all about what you are doing to him? If he were arguing that he would be able to support and care for you during your labor, regardless of whether you're together or not, that would be one thing, but it sounds like he's just having a tantrum about how you're depriving him of his rightful experience. Not the idiot. Birth is a grueling process. It can be beautiful, but it's also hard and painful and requires immense vulnerability and strength. That's enough on its own. You don't need the added stress of being vulnerable in front of someone you're not comfortable being that open with right now, and you don't need the stress of spectators. This birth is about you and your baby. Anyone not there to support both of you doesn't need to be there. As far as him saying that he will be there whether you like it or not, that's not an option. I'm 16 and have one sister who is 19. I'm closer with mom and my sister is closer to my dad. It's just always been like that. She's the perfect daughter in his eyes because she's saving herself for marriage and all that while I'm more wild in his eyes. I'm not saying I'm boy crazy or anything. It's just his definition of wild is me wanting to get a second earring or a splash of color in my hair. I keep a diary. I love writing and it helps me vent. Last week I saw a crumbled piece of Oreo in my closet. My sister loves Oreos, and my dad always makes sure we are stocked with them, even though she's the only one who eats them. I immediately accused her of snooping, which she denied, and then the idiot literally outs herself by mentioning my diary in her denial, even though I didn't even bring it up. After more denials, she finally confesses that my dad put her up to it. So apparently my dad was worried I was being influenced by my friends to become bi. I'm not making this up. My dad asked my sister to read my diary to see if I was becoming bi. I'm not going to get into what was in there, but I was furious. Well, fair's fair, and guess who also keeps a diary and guess who knows where she keeps it? So last Friday I did a bit of reading of my own. This isn't the am I the idiot part. I already know I'm the idiot for doing that and I don't care. She doesn't write in it much and it was actually pretty boring. Ironically, her last entry was about reading my diary for my father and there's no mention of feeling guilty. But it was the another entry that led to all hell breaking loose in the house. She just referred to it in an unrelated passage, but it turns out that my dear religious father had an affair. My sister referred to it in the past tense, so I knew it was over. I found out later that it ended 4 or 5 years ago. I felt like a gigantic grenade had just gotten tossed into my family. Obviously, I'll never look at my dad the same way again. I agonized about it on Saturday. I only confessed to my mother about reading my sister's diary to see if she would give me any indication of whether she already knows about the affair. Either she doesn't know, or at least she doesn't know that my sister knows. At that point, I decided to let it go. Here's the am I the idiot part. On Sunday I didn't want to go to church because of COVID. Predictably, my mother mentioned that my father wouldn't like that, and I said, maybe dad isn't as Christian as you think. That's where I freaked up. She knew I read my sister's diary and must have put 2 and 2 together. My sister told me that mom confronted her and insisted on seeing the diary, and now my parents have been arguing and being cold to each other for 2 days straight. My sister says I'm evil for manipulating the situation so my mother would find out. I'm feeling super guilty for not just keeping my mouth shut. Am I the idiot? Everyone's the idiot here. You. 1% you knew reading your sister's diary screwed. You said so, enough said. Dear sister. 10% she knew damn well that she should not be reading your diary, she knew damn well that was going to start a war, and she knew damn well there would be a crap show of what was in her diary ever got out. Your mom. 0%. Your dad. 100,000% he has an affair, has a very inappropriate and borderline creepy relationship with your sister, and seems to be a controlling weirdo to boot. Not the idiot. Considering it was in response to your sister reading your journal, you reading her journal was only slightly an idiot move. But you did not tear apart your family, your father's infidelity did. Your mother deserved to know, and the fact that she was able to infer so quickly from your statement that your sister's diary had concrete evidence of your father's wrongdoing means that she already had some pretty strong suspicions. And he's a massive idiot for putting that burden on your sister to keep secret. Not the idiot. But I do want to tell you to watch out for the tendency I'm seeing in your edits to put the burden on your mom to keep the family together. Your mom has every right to not want to be with your dad anymore. Do not try to pressure or guilt her into not getting a divorce. That's incredibly unfair to her. Your dad is a big problem. I am very uncomfortable with what I'm seeing in your post about how he treats his relationship with your sister. It's not appropriate at all. I, 38, got a divorce 5 years ago. I met my new wife Sarah, 34, at the workplace, and getting to know her made me realize how unhappy I was with my own married. We quickly became great friends and there was an attraction, but we kept everything professional. I sat my ex-wife down at the time and told her I wanted a divorce and that I was unhappy. That I believe I have fallen in love with someone else and I just want this over. She, 36, did not take it well and it was a rough divorce. After the divorce was finalized I asked out Sarah and she said yes. I had 2 daughters with my ex, who are now 17 Abby and 18 Grace. They did not take the divorce well at all and openly hate Sarah. I have custody every 2 weeks and during the time they go to a therapist. My ex refuses to take them even if I am paying for them during her time with the kids. My oldest is 18 now, so I can't force her to go, but she still comes over when her sister does. Therapy has helped but not by much. I do discipline them with taking away privileges, but that doesn't seem to work either. Especially since my ex seems to encourage them to be cruel to Sarah. It was so bad at some parts that Sarah would go on road trip when I had my kids over. Anyways, I have been saving up for their college for the longest time, each kid has about 40,000 saved up, this is all in my savings. Sarah and I have been trying for a baby for a while now, and she did get pregnant. The baby was a stillborn and it broke our hearts. We turned his ashes into a necklace for Sarah and a ring for me. Our jobs don't allow jewelry since it is a safety hazard with all the machines. It can get caught in the machine which is very dangerous, so every day we take them off for work and put them in her jewelry box. Well, we came home from work today and the ring and necklace were destroyed. The ring looked like it was cut in half with a bolt cutter and the necklace was smashed. Abby and Grace were smug about it and started to taunt us. Sarah having a breakdown and I told them to get out. They didn't think I was serious so I told them again. They said whatever and that I wasn't gonna see them soon anyway since they are going to college. I told them they are not getting a single dime. They left. I informed my ex that they will not get any money for college from me and she has been blowing my phone up since. My daughters have also been blowing up my phone. Am I the idiot? Firstly, I am so sorry for your loss. As someone who is working with a fertility clinic for my first child, the thought of getting pregnant only to have a stillbirth is heartbreaking. My condolences. I was prepared to rip you a new one from that title, especially as a child of divorce and my dad picking his wife over my brother and I, it felt personal. But after reading through everything, I could not be more wrong. You taking their college fund is far less than what I would have done. Not the idiot. Everyone's the idiot here. You discipline them for not liking Sarah. Seriously? You divorce your wife over another woman and immediately get together with that woman afterward and then you wonder why they don't like her. And you try to force them by disciplining them and making them go to therapy for something you're causing as if they're the problem. Hell, you could have made it family therapy. See, the daughters are idiots for what they did too, and you're an idiot for what you've been doing to them too.